this novella is more than just a scary monster story. Like, you tackle some difficult and heavy topics in just, over 100 pages. It's like 115 pages or something. And
Yep.
there are snapshots of addiction, rage, betrayal, abuse in relationships. They all make an appearance in this dark little tale, but I feel as if you handle them so well. And in your author's note, you mentioned that this story was inspired by a nightmare. And so with that in mind, I've got to ask, in writing this novella, was there ever a feeling of facing something dark from your own subconscious, or was this merely just in pursuit of creativity and fun?
A little bit of both, but probably more the first one, if I'm being honest. A lot of authors have heard the mantra of writing what you know.
Mm,
It's going to be the most authentic story you can tell. Um, but when I started out writing Smolder, I had one scene in my head, which was from the nightmare, um, and I just had to figure out how to get my character from wherever he started to that scene, and that was all I had in my brain. I didn't think of anything else.
wow.
And then, as I started putting more thought into it and just letting the characters tell me what they wanted to say and where they wanted to go, I realized that I could, get some sort of self therapy out of writing the book. Um, it's hard for me to talk too freely about it because I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't read it. Um, but there is a major theme of anger and how dangerous that particular emotion can be, and for a lot of different reasons. You'll have to
Yeah.
read it to find out if you haven't yet. Read those who are listening, but um, anger is something I've struggled with for a long time since I was a kid. I was kind of I let myself feel it too much. Let's say, um, definitely had a problem controlling my temper when I was a younger kid, and I was told to not show it, to just kind of bury it down. And anyone who does that with any sort of emotion will feel that pressure building within themselves, and eventually it'll come out in some shape or form. And, this main character, Eric, definitely has a lot of things going on and a lot of issues of his own that he didn't have a healthy way of dealing with, whether based on circumstance or personal choice. So um, there are parts of me in this story that are 100% true,
Mm,
and only those who know me will know what parts of that story are the parts of myself. So it's kind of scary putting yourself into a story like that, that vulnerability. Um, but when I was writing it, it felt like the best way for me to confront it too. It wasn't just the characters confronting it, it was me as well. And I think that's what helps all of that translate from the page to other readers, is that, I'm writing what I know.
mm, yeah. And it shows. It definitely shows. It's immersive. The story is very immersive, and that's what I loved about it. I love a story where I can just get immersed in it. And I mean, it helps that it takes place for the most part in a wooded area. I love the woods. I love the forest. Anyone familiar with my writing, that the forest pops up more often than
Yeah.
not. And so I really I appreciated that. But and I also I want to applaud you too, because as I've gotten to know you better, you are just a very kind and gentle soul. And we all have our inner demons, but it seems like that you have found healthy outlets to deal with some of yours. And you're a better man because of it. And I think that for people that maybe have similar struggles, if they read this book, that they'll be able to connect with Eric and
Yeah.
maybe see some of those same things in themselves. And I know that's a goal for me in my writing. I don't shy away from the taboo. I don't shy away from the difficult things. And I come face to face with the demons. And my hope is that people will not only be entertained by my writing, but they'll also be able to confront some of their own personal demons and some of their own personal traumas in the relative safe place of fiction,
Yeah.
imagination, but then be able to take those same things that they learned and bring it into their real life and face those real life demons, face that real trauma, and just find some strength, find some comfort from that. And based on what I have read from you, it seems like you might have a similar philosophy.
Absolutely. And I will give my wife a lot of credit. Um, I was married before, and I met my current wife a couple of years ago, 2018, and I was in denial about a lot of issues that I had uh, from my childhood, from my first marriage, and she gave me a lot of support, and still does. But she encouraged me to seek a counselor for some of the issues that I've had, and
Mm.
that has been instrumental in me being comfortable approaching some of those issues, and not just the counseling sessions, but even when it comes to writing about stuff. Um, you know, I think there's a lot of the shame that people feel about admitting their mental health struggles.
Mm.
And, I don't like to admit when I'm wrong. I don't like to admit when uh, there's something that I'm not doing that's not done the right way. But going to therapy and being able to write about the things that I've felt, is almost like a promise to myself in some way. Like, if this character in the story can admit these things, then so can I. You know, it's an extension of me. So why should this fiction, you know, stay fiction? If I can write it, I should be able to live it out.
Yeah, I love that. And I can relate so much. For me, writing is cathartic. I struggle a lot with anxiety, and I know that when I'm writing, and I'm like you too, where I do most of my writing at the end of the day. And one of my biggest problems is my brain is always going. It never shuts off. And so when I get to write at the end of the day, I'm sort of, it feels like I'm relieving some pressure. and
Yeah.
and so I sleep better and I feel better.